We are going to talk about your health for the next half hour or so with Dr. Barry Taylor. Dr. Barry, good afternoon to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is a delight to have you with us. You might have heard Dr. Barry before on Half Hour to Health with Dr. Stephanie, and you've been on that show a couple of times anyway.
Yeah, a dozen, 15 times.
That's it, huh?
She's very gracious to having me on to talk about a lot of different subjects.
Yeah, no question about that. And Dr. Barry is the author of a book entitled Love Your Body, Your Path to Transformation, Health, and Healing. And I think we would all like to be in great health and, if you're recovering from something, great healing too. And Dr. Barry uses naturopathic, is that the pronunciation?
That'll work.
Naturopathic therapies, and works from the premise that your body has an innate ability to heal itself. We've heard that over the years from Dr. Stephanie many times, and
Yep.
you're a similar disciple.
Well, she is one of the more gifted chiropractors in the Northeast or the entire country for sure. I'm not trained as a chiropractor. I'm trained as a naturopath, and we do dovetail into that similar tagline that I love to say to people. Your capacity to heal is infinitely greater than anybody's led you to believe.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that as we continue today. But you yourself, in reading your book, you have not always been the picture of health.
Understatement of the morning, number one. Yeah. I had lots of strep growing up as a kid. I was very overweight. I had massive headaches. Took aspirin like they were candies. Took penicillin. I think I was almost left back 3 or 4 years in a row because I had 104 fever 4 or 5 times a year for numbers of years in a row.
Wow.
So having strep was like kind of a thing for me. You think it was a way to get out of school, Ken? I'm not sure.
That's a possibility,
well, maybe the
I
Twinkies,
suppose. Yeah.
Or the Twinkies.
Yeah. The Twinkies probably didn't help.
You weren't supposed to eat by the box. You were only supposed to eat one or two at a time.
One at a time,
Ooh,
yeah.
I forgot to read the label.
And that was it, yeah. So how did it all get turned around?
Oh, boy. The short version is I was on my way to divinity school. I was attending Brandeis University. It was last century, actually. and I thought doing a lot of yoga and meditation was a good deal. So I had applied to Yale and University of Chicago and Harvard Divinity School, not to become a priest or a rabbi or a minister, but to get a PhD in comparative religion. And in those days, when I was in college, I started seeing a man who was an MD, ND. He got his medical degree in 1930 and his naturopathic degree in 1932. And so while I was accepted to go to divinity school, I kind of took a sharp left turn and went to naturopathic medical school, which is a 3-year program to get into and then it's a 4 or 5 year medical training program.
So how was your health at that time when you went to college?
I was well over my strep throats. Great question. But still suffered a ton from headaches. So in my first year of medical school, second year of medical school, somebody came and was sharing that they had worked with somebody like I had worked with this man from Wakefield, Mass, Dr. Louis Balot.
I know where that is.
That's near where your roots are.
Yeah.
And he worked with this man 60 miles north of Toronto. So I said, I think I'm going to go visit this man. And this man was brought up by his father, was a naturopath. He was well in his 60s. This is in the early 1970s. And in a couple of months, he got rid of my chronic headaches that I had had for decades. So through medical school was still a time for healing for me. I tend to get sick a bit less than other people. I hope, fingers and toes crossed, that when I do get a challenge, my body heals faster than. But eating a bit better or a lot better, and we might talk about this, is not about being a purist. This is not only about eating sprouts and carrot juice and tofu. It doesn't mean you never get sick. It just might mean that you accentuate the positives. We all are born with certain strengths and weaknesses. And it also might mean that if you eat a little bit better than an average normal person, that you might be able to recover. Doesn't mean that we're going to be immortal. Rumor has it we're all leaving at some moment.
I've heard the rumor.
Yeah.
So how did the headaches go away after all those decades of battling them? How did they go away? My guess is it wasn't aspirin.
Given that I had taken enough aspirin so that my freshman year of regular undergraduate school, I found myself in the hospital in Boston because I was bleeding internally.
Yeah.
That's how much aspirin I had taken. No, this doctor north of Toronto was a naturopath homeopath, and he gave me some remedies, and he also began to do more than what I had been doing with this Dr. Balat. Which was eating very well, taking handfuls of vitamins. But Dr. Balat got me into cleansing and detoxing. Mm-hmm. That's one of my kind of standard models. Mm-hmm. There's one way that I love to work with people is to build, strengthen, and tonify. It's health promotion. It's not just disease management. And the other is how to rest, cleanse, and detox your body. So this doc in Toronto said, this is a long one, this is a stretch, that I still had some strep in my body over years, that all of the penicillin had driven further into my energy field. Now, he wasn't a hippie, he was an older guy, but he talked in this strange language. Now I'm a second year, naturopathic student. I didn't quite know what driving something to my energy field meant, but he said with all of the cleansing and detoxing I had done with Dr. Balat, that I hadn't yet gotten all of the strep out of my body. And he gave me some magical potion as opposed to feather dusting on my head. He gave me something to clear the remainder of what he had suggested was all of this suppressed strep in my body. Ken, you and I sitting here face to face, my headaches went away in a couple of weeks.
Mm. And that strep must have been in your body for a long time.
Decades.
Yeah,
since I was 6, 7, 8, all through my teens and early 20s. And yeah. Mm. So there's this whole world that I began with Dr. Balat as an undergraduate at Brandeis when I thought I was going to go to divinity school and teach yoga and meditation. That seems like a good gig to do at college, teach yoga and meditation. Not meant to be. Dr. Balat said, you were really sick as a kid. You were really overweight, lots of headaches, lots of strep. He said, how about take one day a week and do a cleanse? I'm taking you back to the late 60s. Mm-hmm. That's 1960s, Ken, not 1860s.
Oh, I know. I'm familiar with the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after I did that for a year, he said, okay, every Monday you're just doing veggies. How about 3 days every month? So I did every Monday, and I did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Once a month. After the second year, he said, you ready for the next step? He was kind of like a father figure. I trusted him enormously. Yeah. He said, okay, I want you to do every Monday, 3 days a month, and how about 2 weeks every quarter around the equinox or solstice?
Okay.
My mother was very concerned my senior year of college when she came up to see me. It was like several hundred days of not eating that year. She was very concerned. God bless her.
So what would your diet be?
Then?
Yeah.
Then I did different, depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about being cold. Since we're not in Hawaii or Florida,
right.
We do different vegetables, steamed, baked, broiled, grilled, soups, salads, juices, protein drinks, sometimes a little brown rice. So there are varying degrees I talk about in my book of alkalizing your body, because from a physical point of view, one of the pieces that drives disease is the body being too acid. Coffee, tomatoes, red meat, sugar, alcohol, the biggies, the foods that you and I love to grow up eating. And it doesn't mean somebody should never drink alcohol or never have sugar. Yeah. It just means if you make it the main part of your diet like I did. Let's see, should I have a Butterfingers or a Baby Ruth now? And by the way, I haven't finished that box of Hostess Twinkies yet. I think I'll move on to the Hostess cupcakes.
I hear you. I hear you. I had
my mom
a lot
was
of similar decisions.
Yeah, my mother was great, but she had no idea what a vegetable was unless it was frozen, and then it was only once or twice a month.
But it's so true. I think of, because we're maybe not the same age, but
Close.
close enough. Close enough.
Same century.
And yeah, I mean, people in those days, really didn't think that much about healthy eating. They really did not.
If they did, they were in the minority.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
for sure.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So that turned you around, and I have the feeling that we are, and I don't know if you agree with this. Maybe you do. I think we're an over-medicated society.
One of the things that I learned as I began to backpedal after I graduated naturopathic school, always wanting to go to divinity school, and as I married and integrated, and there's nothing religious about what I do, is I love to I tell people this is not about you becoming a rabble-rousing herbalist or taking handfuls of vitamins. This might be about how to listen to your body more gracefully. So this over-medication, big pharma kind of orientation that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I think the context is, like me, I had a headache, I took Bufferin.
Yeah.
I had strep, I took penicillin. So naturopaths can do this as much as allopathic doctors can do it. This the context of the major background of medicine is called allopathic medicine, drug surgical medicine, is that people are just given something like it's a magic bullet. And to that extent, people can they go to Whole Foods and ask somebody who's getting $8, $9, $10, $12 an hour recommendations to give them something off the shelf, as if those people in health food stores know a ton of stuff. So yes, I agree. We're over-medicated, and it's a blessing if you can start to shift your relationship to your body so that it's what I call user-friendly. You're a better listener. And it doesn't mean you never take drugs, and it doesn't mean you never take a vitamin or mineral, but you might be interested if it's the third or fourth strep infection,
right,
or
right.
if it's a chronic arthritis,
Yeah.
or if it's a chronic ulcer, that your symptom is not from a deficiency of that medicine.
I tend to put vitamins and other forms of medication in different categories. So when I said, I think we're an over-medicated society, I really wasn't referring to vitamins, which I don't,
So you're surprised.
Those are supplements as far as I'm concerned.
But the context for some naturopaths can be similar to the same context as the allopathic, where people are taking handfuls of stuff and they have no idea why. And they have not, should I take this amount like for the rest of my life? So when I'm working with somebody individually, I'm making a distinction between a therapeutic program.
Yeah.
We're going to do this for a few weeks, a few months, 2, 3, 6 months. And then a maintenance program is totally different than a therapeutic program. So, yeah, some of my colleagues who might know a ton more about herbs and vitamins than I do might still be giving it in a way where they don't see themselves as an educator. My joy is that I see myself creating partnerships with people, as opposed to I know everything I should know about your colitis and your asthma and your allergies and your ADD.
Our guest is a great one, and love having you, Dr. Barry Taylor, who's the author of a book entitled Love Your Body, Your Path to Transformation, Health, and Healing. And if you have any questions for Dr. Barry, you can feel free to give us a call at 866-823-1077. Happy to hear from you. 12:40 is our time. We're going to take a break. Kaelin Company will continue right after these words on 107.7 The Pulse. 107.7 The Pulse. Kaelin Company, 12:45 is our time. And our guest is Dr. Barry Taylor, author of Love Your Body, Your Path to Transformation, Health, and Healing. How about the distinction between allopathic and functional medicine?
The man who wrote the foreword to my book, Jeff Bland, dear friend, he was chief of nutritional medicine to NASA. He was chief of nutritional medicine to the U.S. Olympic team. He was the medical director for Linus Pauling's lab. Those are pretty good credentials.
Pretty good credentials,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. So he coined the term functional medicine, different than disease management or throwing an herb or throwing a vitamin just at the symptom. I'm not saying never do that. But when you're working with an integrative medicine doctor like myself, you're looking at the function. So most blood tests are, wow, if your liver enzymes look like that, I guess you don't have hepatitis, or I guess you don't have liver cancer. But the liver does 3,000 different functions and can be, some of them, way off if a woman's got premenstrual symptoms or a man or a woman has got allergies. So functional medicine has something to do with how to optimize the function of the body working using food and supplements and herbs, not just treating the symptoms. So functional medicine's taking off. Yeah, Jeff Bland had the Institute of Functional Medicine as an academy, 25 years. Now it's 35 years later. And there are, he was my nutrition teacher every Wednesday from 8 in the morning till 5 for 2 years in a row in naturopathic school.
Wow.
Now he's got doctors that he certifies. And if a doctor, regular MD, a chiropractor, some other coach wants to get certified as a functional medicine doctor, I think it's like 6 3-day weekends, and they have a whole program, the Institute of Functional Medicine. So I was there in the beginning, in the late 70s with Jeff Bland.
When it all took off.
When it all took off. He is one of my heroes, and very blessed that he wrote the foreword of my book. Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit off the air about your 21-day program that you have.
Yeah. So Dr. Balat, this mentor of mine, who was this brilliant MD/ND, not many of those, 1930, 1932, he guided me through 3-4 years while I was an undergraduate, through 1 day a week, 3 days a month, 2 weeks every quarter. I remember, Ken, I'm finishing like a 2-week juice cleanse, as much vegetables as I want to eat, as much vegetables as I want to drink. And I'm walking through a health food store on Newbury Street in Boston. It was called Air One. And as I got my cart and I'm buying some more, quote, more normal foods, and I used to love these tamari roasted cashews, except that I noticed that the pound of tamari roasted cashews were kind of gone by the time I got to the cash register.
The whole pound, huh?
So I put together a cleansing program where I move people from a group. Some people cleanse on their own. I've about, since 1981, had 15,000 people. Wow, that's a pretty good sample.
I'm
very, very blessed to have that, and a lot of them have done it 2-3 times. It's now an online program. Wow, you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So there are videos that people watch, and I teach them about how the body works. And people do it with allergies and skin stuff and lung things and chronic infections and Lyme and weight issues. And it's not fasting. Thank you very much. You can eat clean. There are different options that people have. There's a stress management relaxation process that people do every day. So it used to be that when I did them live in my clinic, they were 3-hour and 15-minute programs. Nobody wants to sit in front of a computer for a webinar for that long. The programs now are about 75 minutes, one night a week. And you watch about 15 or 20 minutes of videos before every webinar. So I'm able to guide people from around the country through this program. One of my loves, Ken, has been to distinguish health promotion from disease management, one, and that healing is different than health. Some people you and I know are really unhealthy. We'll take weight as an example. And maybe their thyroid's off. Maybe they're eating a pint of ice cream and they're wondering why they can't lose weight. Or they eat way too much bread or way too much sugar. So there are physical things that I have never once asked people to count calories. I'm not a believer in counting calories. On the other hand, maybe somebody has a lifetime of weight. I know that as somebody who was very, very, very overweight. How overweight was I? Huskies didn't fit me. I used to have to go into New York City to get extra Huskies because Huskies, I just couldn't fit into them.
Wow.
Now, when I thinned out when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, and then my 20s, I was in a workshop when I was 30, and I was standing in front of a mirror, and I have this thought that came from somewhere. It wasn't a trainer whispering it in my ear. It was in my head. I'm a fat person in a thin body.
Yeah.
See, that's a healing issue.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean somebody needs therapy. We incorporate in Love Your Body programs for people to learn how to trust. So there are some people who have difficulty losing weight that might be, say, a thyroid problem, or their body's toxic and they didn't know that toxicity, or they're hypoglycemic. They never ate breakfast and they just started eating healthy, but the truth is the previous months or years they've been eating a ton of sugar.
Yeah.
But there are some people who, if they do lose the weight, because they're not so skilled at listening, they don't realize that as they get closer to their goal, maybe they get more anxious. Maybe food wasn't just food for them. Maybe food was their drug of choice. It actually was the way they managed stress. Now, losing weight is not just a health issue.
Yeah.
It's a healing issue. Doesn't mean you need therapy. So we do things in Love Your Body programs related to compassion and trust and things like that.
And some people use food as rewards.
Yeah.
I mean, to reward themselves or getting
like
through
smoking.
something or what have you. Like smoking. Yeah.
Stop being angry or I'll give you something to be angry about. Yeah. So go have a cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So J-Dog does this once a week, my producer.
Yeah.
And I do it once a week.
Yeah.
And that is fasting.
Okay.
What is your take on fasting?
One
day a week.
Before I answer, Ken, when whether you or Jay, 1 day a week, what is it that you're calling fasting? Are you eating veggies? Are you doing just water? Are you doing juices? What are you doing?
I'm just doing liquids.
Just liquids.
J-Dog, what about you?
Does that mean
Liquids,
scotch
just
or
water.
tequila?
What's that?
Scotch, tequila, vodka?
Scotch? No, none of that on Mondays.
No. Sorry. It wasn't fair that I had you step into it.
No.
So the answer to your question is in the joke we just made. That fasting for some people might be effective, but my question would be, what do you do the other 6 days? Now, it doesn't mean that you should never do tequila or you should never have a Cuban cigar. It's not like here are the rules, you've got to follow them. It does mean that the fasting 1 day a week is either going to be in a context where overall you understand about alcohol, sugar, fried food, red meat, and the other 6 days doesn't mean you're a purist, but me or somebody's coaching you how to get the most, or that 1 day a week is kind of like a binge purge cycle in past decades and years where people would just purge and then they'd binge. So the new age version of that can be, oh, I fast on Mondays or I fast on Wednesdays. And the rest of the day, it doesn't mean you can't have ice cream, what we were talking about, or Twinkie. Like can you get Twinkies anymore? Are they outlawed?
I think
or are they
so.
illegal?
No, I think you can still get them.
I think the brain damage.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, we're not going. Yeah. So, I mean, fasting 1 day a week is in vogue and can be extremely healthy. Here's some people that.
But you got to follow it up.
Well, here's a huge group of people, Ken, that it wouldn't be healthy. If somebody was pre-diabetic, if somebody was craving sugar premenstrually, you and I don't deal with hormones, but if somebody were missing breakfast, all they were doing was coffee for breakfast. And then they had lunch at 11:30, 12, and then they didn't eat dinner till 8:39. So basically throughout the whole day, blood sugar is not steady. Those people maybe would do better to not fast 1 day a week, but would do better to eat healthier 1 day a week and to cut down and have less sugar or other kinds of things, because there's a chapter in the first half of my book on blood sugar stability and adrenal strength. We want you to be able to burn your weight off, not starve it off. People who starve their weight off, I'm calling my bookie, they're going to gain it back or have trouble losing it.
So is there any one thing, and I know you say, once in a while, if you're on a diet or, you're watching your weight,
Yep.
Not necessarily on a diet, but just, trying to be better.
Okay.
You can have ice cream once in a while, that sort of thing, and have a dessert once in a while.
Yeah.
And just not go crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we used to say, like, everything in moderation. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Is there something that we would be very wise to eliminate, period?
First of all, the joke was everything in moderation, and moderation is the first to go. Is there anything eliminate? You see, it really depends on your tribe. Because if your grandmother was diabetic and it's going to skip a generation, then sugar and alcohol is going to be harder on your pancreas than on somebody who hasn't had diabetes at all.
Right.
If somebody's got no cancer in their lineage, then I'm not out there recommending people to smoke cigars or smoke tobacco. And part of smoking is that most people don't smoke Native American spirits, but they smoke stuff where what's in the wrapper of most cigarettes is worse than the tobacco because of the additives and the preservatives. So it depends. I don't want to skirt the question, but it really depends on who you are. I would say if you said, Barry, make a choice. Can I have my bacon burger or my banana split, or my Fruit Loops? If you look at the standard American diet, I would say the following: 1, your great-grandparents, my great-grandparents probably didn't have 3 pounds a year of preservatives, additives, coloring agents. It's amazing the toxins you and I breathe and eat that's part of the food that we've gotten used to things. That being said, so the first thing I'd say is assuming that you're eating cleaner and more organic when possible. And given the rage that paleo is, which is meat, we're going to eat meat. I'd say when you look at the amount of sugar that most Americans consume, and the how much sugar and alcohol drive acidity, arthritis, and weight, and a lot of cancers can't grow in the body unless the body is acidic. I'd say the first thing that people could consider playing with to cut down would probably be refined sugar.
And that's where we're going to have to leave it for today, Dr. Barry Taylor. But we want you back. You're a terrific guest, and I know we're going to learn a lot from you in the weeks and months ahead.
I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon, I hope, and